Khedija Suhail, and I am Director of Operations at FEMCodes. Today, our session is about Erasmus Mundus Scholarship. And before moving on towards session, I will give you a brief introduction about FEMCodes. So it is a non-profit organization that is led by students, and the founder is Kawa Marine, who is currently pursuing her master's at UBC in Canada. And the aim was to promote the digital empowerment and STEM for the females in the tech industry in Pakistan, to promote more awareness about different scholarships and opportunities, and provide them the real guidance so that they can pursue those opportunities. And today our session is also the part of that aim. And our guest speaker is Khedija Suhail. Khedija was awarded with Erasmus Mundus Scholarship, and she is currently a PhD student. So over to you, Khedija, and thank you so much for joining today's session. We are really humbled to have you as a guest, and we are looking forward to a great session. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the introduction. Just to check, I can give my introduction. So as already said, I am currently doing my PhD. I am doing from University of Glasgow, which was one of my Erasmus universities. As background, I did my Erasmus Mundus in Adult Education for Social Change. And before that, I worked in various NGOs in Pakistan. CHESV was an Italian organization, Teach for Pakistan, Amal Academy. And I've also taught in some Pakistani universities like Fatima Women University. Through that, I pursued my Erasmus Mundus, which was about adult learning and adult education, particularly for social change. And what I'm doing right now, my PhD is also linked with that in some regards. If you have more questions regarding me, I can answer later. But for now, I will continue with the topic. If you have any questions, if you have any queries, just share in the chat. I keep always an eye on the chat, and I will try my best to answer on the spot. If not, I'll finish my thought and then get you. Yes, you can see it. Perfect. Thank you so much. So I finished my Erasmus back in 2024, but I also know from my experience that a lot of people don't know what is Erasmus. Erasmus Mundus Scholarship, if you don't know, is a fully funded master's degree program. There's Erasmus Plus and Erasmus other things, but I will particularly be talking about the master's program that is Erasmus Mundus Scholarship, which is in multiple countries and multiple universities. What does fully funded actually mean? Fully funded means that it will cover your tuition, so you don't have to pay university fees. It will cover your living expenses, so they will pay you a certain amount that will be able to cover your rent, your food, your everyday expenses. They will also pay for the insurance. It is in Europe, having insurance is like compulsory part of being there. So they will also pay for that. And they will also give you some travel costs. So if you're coming from Pakistan, obviously the ticket prices and things are not affordable to everyone. So they will pay for those tickets, as well as the visa cost and things like that. So fully funded actually means fully funded. You will not have to pay for some application or visa or some random person to do your things. It covers all of it, at least financially. What they expect in return from you is you are able to handle a lot of these things on your own, which means that if you are eventually selected for this, you will have to handle your own travel, visa costs, and everything like that. No, it does not need a blocked account. For my Erasmus particularly, and I will speak in the caveat of there are some things that are specific to my program. They send us almost 1,000 euros to cover in my bank account in Pakistan, and so that I could, cover the cost of tickets and things like that. But to apply for visa, you don't need blocked account, because Erasmus Mundus also give you proof of financial plan. So like they will give you a letter that would say that all of your fees, everything, and you will get monthly stipend. So it's covered. So you don't need to show anything else. You don't need a blocked account. You don't need anything else to apply for it if you get the Erasmus Mundus. So what is the eligibility and the key timelines of it? A lot of Erasmus programs have different deadlines. Most of them are in early January till late February, but some also end in December. I will be really careful with, if you want to pick a program, keep a really close eye on their deadlines. Sometimes they change even yearly. So even with my experience, there was a deadline that was different in 2021 and then different in 2022. So you have to be keeping a really close eye on when your program deadline is for that year particularly. I have a link here about where all the Erasmus programs are, and I can share it in the chat. You can go through it. It is a comprehensive list. It's an official list. It has all the Erasmus programs that are available, and you can open this link. And let's say you want to pursue education, you want to pursue engineering, you want to pursue whatever it is that you want to put in or look for your particular program. This is a comprehensive list. It also will redirect you to sometimes other websites, because the Erasmus scholarship is not just one country or one city or one university. So it might direct you to a different university or country website, as it's supposed to be for 4 or 2+ different countries. Coming from my experience, I was selected to be in UK, University of Glasgow, and I had a choice of going to either Ireland in Maynooth University or in Malta, Malta University. I chose to go to Ireland after UK, and then Estonia, Tallinn University, and I also was part of Open University of Cyprus. But as you can see, there are like 4 or 5 different countries I've just mentioned, from UK, Ireland, Estonia, Cyprus, Malta. As all of they are part of Europe, and they all have different criterias and different governments that work, you would need to be able to know what works for the programs you're applying for. So I would really encourage that the link that is available, you not only see, oh, this is the program that I want, you also see if the countries that are in your program are the right countries for you. So as you know, UK is not in the Schengen area anymore. You have to get a different visa for that. And you may also not want to be in UK. Similarly, you may not want to be in Spain because you can't speak Spanish and you prefer English speaking countries. So not only focus on what program you want, like if it's engineering or computer, but what countries does that program entail. It's really important that you focus on both parts, because otherwise after later stages, or even if you get selected, it will be very difficult for you to manage. So then we talk about what the Erasmus program needs, and if the Erasmus programs are right for you even. Erasmus program makes you move almost every semester or every year. So if you're not a kind of person who can manage traveling too much, who can manage being in a different environment every few months or a year, it may not be just generally a good scholarship for you. And a lot of your interview questions, if you do get to that stage, will be around if you can manage a lot of the stress and a lot of the travel and adaptability that comes with being in Erasmus Mundus program. So ask those questions before you apply to any of these, because these things will be asked in interview stages to you. Even sometimes in application process, there are questions that they make you answer. And if you just say, I don't want to move every few months or every year, I don't like this idea, that will automatically make you ineligible in their eyes. So be careful of these kind of things. But let's say you have gone through the list and you finally found a program that you love and you want to apply to it. You see that you fit into their eligibility criteria. Then what? Next step will be, how do you create a good application? You need to start with the documents. It is one of the very major mistakes people make and get left behind because they don't have all the right documents. Before anything, you need to you need to have a language test or language requirements of whatever program you're applying to. A lot of programs accept either TOEFL or IELTS, or a letter from a university that states that you have already studied in an English medium university, that you can work in that setting. Or if it is some other language that they need, then you obviously need the other language programs. Because I was in UK, Ireland countries, I needed IELTS, or TOEFL could have also worked, but I applied for ICE and I got my scores in that, and that was a very big factor in my eligibility for that program. To answer Ijaz's question about the points to ponder before shortlisting a specific program, is that firstly, is that something that you want to do in future? Is that something that interests you? Because when you're sitting in the panel in the interview stage, that will be first thing they look at. And secondly, are you eligible to do it? So if I want to go in a medical field, I may not have the right degrees for that. So you need to look at their eligibility criteria and your own interest, to put it simply. So for Ashna, the CGPA matters, and I can talk more about it in this application. If you have, let's say, your CV, motivation letter, transcripts, language requirements, everything, CGPA is a factor, but it's not a factor for all the Erasmus. So particularly, for example, for my Erasmus, there wasn't a set like 3 point, this is needed for criteria, but I also know there are other Erasmus programs that want you to have 3.5, 3.7, something like that. So it depends on the program. Are you applying for an education program, an arts degree, a culture degree, engineering? It depends. So you have to see what it is. So if you know what it is, then you can find the program for your Erasmus in that shortlist that I provided, and you can check their criteria. And it's not the same. There is not like it has to be 3 and then no. It can be low as even some people less than 3 can get it, and sometimes over 3.5 don't qualify. So you have to particularly go check the list and see your own degree in that. I would suggest do that. So I'll come to the question of what happens after. I'll go with what we are talking about right now, which is strong application. So let's say you have gotten the language test for whatever it is that you needed. You have your transcripts, whatever GPA is required for your degree. You got the recommendation letters from your professors. There's always like a percentage for recommendations letter, no matter which one program you're applying to. Then the most other important parts are motivation letter and CV. There's a particular Europass CV that is preferred. I would say maybe get to know a little bit of that. That really does help. A lot of programs are very clear about that's the kind of CV they need. Sometimes they're not, but a lot of Europe places use it. So I would recommend going with that. And lastly, but most importantly, motivation letter. Motivation letter is something that will make or break your application sometimes. A person can have a low GPA or even a low IT score and can still be selected because of the motivation letter. And I'll explain to you how. Because I've had classmates who have gotten maybe 6.5 in ITs and still got, and I've had classmates who have gotten 8 out of 9 bands and are there. And the difference was the motivation letter. Motivation letter, what is motivation letter? It's simply a way of convincing somebody, the committee particularly, that this is the right fit for you. So, and if you make it too generic, like there is no specification of your program, then it wouldn't matter. Also, you cannot just list all your things, like every volunteer work you have ever done in your entire life. You have to be careful with what is their requirement. If they have asked for less than 500 words, it has to be less than 500 words. Some websites don't even let you put in case they will. It's not recommended that you do that. And thirdly, when you're writing a motivation letter, do not, and I say it in capital letters, do not make it generic. You have to understand your program. Do not write your motivation letter without researching your program. So if you want to go for business degree, if you want to go for engineering degree, check what is the exact program, what do they do, what's their purpose, and it's all on that websites. So the list that is I gave you, if you go on to pick one of the any scholarship program there and you go to their website, they very clearly have written all of them. This is what we want to do. This is what we offer. These are the courses we have. These are the teachers we have. And all of that should be researched by you and written in some way or another in your motivation letter to convince that you understand what their program is. And that's why you're applying. You're not just applying because you fit the eligibility criteria. You are applying because you understand what they're offering and you want that. So the next step would be, yes, you understand the program, but how do you align it? You have to find a way to align it with your past and your future plans. So let's say you have had 10 volunteer experiences and you have worked in NGO and you have worked with child community center and you have worked with domestic violence, but you are applying for a gender studies Erasmus, right? Which one of these should you be mentioning, or which one of the other 10 you've been mentioning? It's really important. Obviously, it will help if you mention you have worked in a domestic violence center compared to I volunteer with the plantation drive. It doesn't hurt, but it is important that it somewhat links to the program you're applying to, so they know that you're not just doing it out of unconscious thoughts, but you're being very particular about it. But more than your past, they focus on what's your future plans. So you may have a past of studying English language or studying something else, but you may want to now pursue business or education or gender or something else. And if you can write in a way that it convinces them that that is what you want to do in future and what your future plans are, that you need this degree for it, that will matter more than anything you have done in your past. So maybe all your work experience comes from internship in computer software, but you don't want to do that anymore. You want to go to social sciences and you want to work with social change. So you go for education degree and you tell them, yes, I may have experience of working in all software companies, but I have started to volunteer in small NGO sectors, and that is what I want to pursue in my future. And the reason I want to do it is because it's personal, it's this or ABC, whatever your reasons are, that will have a more impact than even your CGPA, even your past volunteer or work experience, because they want the right people for their program. And if you can prove that you fit perfectly into their program, that's something that they want. I'll talk about some of the common mistakes that are made, that I would say when you are starting your application or you're thinking about it, to not do that. And one of them are missing deadlines. Deadlines are different for every Erasmus program. Like I said, it is early January to late February for most, but that's not the official anywhere. Every program, and there are over 100 programs, have their own deadlines, sometimes in December, sometimes in early January, sometimes in mid-February. And it might also change every year. So you have to be really, and I can't emphasize it enough, because I've seen so many students miss out on perfect scholarship because they miss the deadlines and they don't keep an eye out on their particular programs, no matter how much they want it, just because they miss the deadline. So if you have your program set and you know what you want to apply for, check them regularly. If you can, daily. See what's the update. They update all the information on their websites. That is, and if you don't apply, then there's no chance. So that will be my first thing to say, not to make that mistakes, because I've seen it happen to so many people. Second is being generic. And being generic in your CV, your motivation letter, your recommendation letter. If your recommendation letter says she is good, and it is because I know we have this, sometimes people think it's better to get recommendation from a better qualified person than somebody you know, but somebody who may be more qualified may not know you well enough to write you that recommendation letter. So it will not have the same impact because it will be generic compared to someone who does know you, and they can write specific to you that, for example, this person worked with me in this activity and she showed this potential in this manner, and that will put you over the edge over somebody's written, she's done a good work, she will do great in your program. It doesn't specify anything, it doesn't do anything. It's the same thing with motivation letters, it's the same thing in your CV. If it's too generic, I want to be in your program I like, and it's the best one, I love it so much, these kind of statements, the generic stuff, will not get you selected. And it doesn't matter which program you apply for. You have to be specific for that. I want to pursue this program of business or gender, education or engineering or computer because I have passion for this and I've done this work and I have done this volunteer and I want to do this in 5 years. That will push you over the edge. And if anytime you have written anything generic, it will not make your application select in more manner. A lot of Erasmus program selection rate is less than 3%. Some have over 3%, but that's a very less percentage. So you have to make it very perfect for you to get through it. The third one is missing documents. Sometimes, depending upon what country or program you're applying for, they may ask for an additional document that is not given in a list. For example, I was asked to provide proof of residence, and that was particularly to calculate my distance from the country I'm traveling to and all. And I had to get it later, but you really need, but I know some people who are miss some documents or are unable to provide some documents, and that's the reason their application falls through. Technical error And it could be as simple as your grammar error. It could be as simple as uploading the file in the wrong format, not following the instructions. They may seem very small, but when it's hundreds of applications, if not thousand, these kind of things make a difference between who gets selected and who does not get selected. And then simply not being holistic enough. Focusing too much on CGPA or focusing too much on IELTS or focusing too much on one part, but you have to understand how the Erasmus work. So everything, so for example, your CV has a percentage, your motivation letter has a percentage, your CGPA has a percentage, your language requirement has a percentage. All these things have a different percentage. And the reason I focused way more on motivation, because motivation letter has more percentage and recommendation letter have more percentage compared to sometimes even your CGPA or depending upon your program, it may also be equally divided. There is a percentage given to every element and they calculate your score in different categories. And that's how they make results for hundreds of thousands students of where you fall in. So maybe you get in CGPA category 7 out of 10, but in motivation letter you get 10 out of 10, and recommendation you get 10 out of 10. It's all going to push you over the edge. Somebody who has perfect GPA, but their motivation was not as good, or their CV was missing some things, and that makes the difference in the end. So keep these things in mind when you are looking through the process, finding your application, filling out your application. But what happens after submission? So the first thing they do is they shortlist. And the criteria for shortlisting is as simple as, like I shared, there will be a percentage that will be assigned to every single part of application, and they will shortlist based on that. On that basis, you will be called for an interview process. Also, one main thing to remember for Erasmus program is Erasmus has a criteria for how many students a certain program can take from each country. So it cannot be like that GEMA, as an Erasmus program, can take 10 people from Pakistan. It will have maybe two, maximum 3, but never more than that from one country. It's just a general rule. And there's a difference between program and partner countries. Pakistan comes in a program country, but partner country, but the European countries are mostly in the program country. We don't need to go more into that. But the reason I'm mentioning that is the seats that they have for each students, let's say, taking example of a GEMA, they have 20 seats. It's all divided between different parts and different countries of the world. So maybe they want to take 10 from Asia, and every country can only have 1 to 2 students. So maybe they get 1 from India, 1 from Pakistan, 1 from Bangladesh, and so on. And then from the other side of the world, 1 from Brazil, 1 from so on and so on. So keep that in mind, that you are not only in competition in the world, you're also in competition with who is in your country particularly. And sometimes they may not even take any from your country, or maybe they take more than 2 or more than 1 from your country. In my program, there were 2 people from Pakistan and only 1 from India. It didn't matter that India has more population. It mattered what quality of candidates they had. And that's what made them pick. So let's say you get selected for the interview. They will ask you questions like, how will you cope with the stress of the travel? How will you manage studying in different environment? Because remember, we are not only changing countries, we're changing universities. So maybe first 4 months you study in a English language country, and then you go into another country and their grading system is different, their teachers are different, their language is different. So how do you cope with that? And if you have answers like, I can't do it, then that will automatically disqualify you. So you must have some examples from your past or from your motivation that how you will be able to cope with change so much and adapt accordingly. So how will you deal with different professors every few months? How will you deal with new weather or visa requirements or finding accommodation and so many other things that come with Erasmus? So remember to have those answers and examples of the answers already in bank if you're selected for the interview process, because these questions will almost always be asked and will be used to make the lists. There are two lists, main list and reserve list. Main list are the people that is their first preference, and that is obviously scored according to the way I described before. And the reserve list is if somebody from the main list doesn't accept, they will go to the reserve list. And they let you know if you are a main list candidate or if you're a reserved list candidate or if you're rejected. So you will get an email either way. If you are a reserved candidate, you just wait and see if somebody from the main list drops out and you are in that high above in the reserve list. And if not, then they will let you know about that as well. There's obviously rules regarding selection of certain program and partner countries that doesn't only apply to Asia or India or Pakistan, it applies for all over the world. So you will never see a Erasmus program with 10 people from the same countries. It's always maximally 1 to 2 people from the same countries, either it is Europe or Asia or South Africa or America or any place. But let's say you have gotten through all of it, and what do you do now? You will now hopefully accept if you want to. And if you apply to multiple Erasmuses, you may not accept the first offer you get, but you may still want to accept or let them know that they are your first preference. How do you apply for your visa and things? They will give you all the paperwork. So they will provide you with university admission letter, a scholarship letter, um, invitation letter, anything that you might need. They will give you those documents, but it is your own responsibility. And they will obviously send you money to apply as well, but it is your responsibility to go through the process consciously, intelligently, and be able to pass through the visa process. There are very rare instances where somebody doesn't get it, and it's mostly because of some small technical errors. If you are, in my experience, I have not heard of someone not getting their visa. Sometimes it can be delayed because depending upon the country, but if all of your paperwork is right, if you haven't made a mistake in any small or big manner, there is a very good chance that you will get visa on time. And then you then again have to arrange for your travel. You have to find, obviously they have sent you the money for the transport and travel, but you have to find what plane you're getting, how you're getting there. When you have gotten to the country, how do you get to the house? How do you get the place to live in? And how much money? So you have to calculate all your expenses. Let's say currently they're giving 1,400 euros per month. So you obviously don't want to get a place that costs 2,000 euros, right? So obviously you will stay in a place that is 500 to 600 euros for your rent. And then how do you get there for the plane? And then how do you travel in the city? That may cost 100, 200 euros. And then rest of it might be your food and everyday expenses. But you have to be able to plan and manage all of it. They will help you with the paperwork. They will give you the money. They will give you all the permission letters and the emails that you might need to go through all the process. But at the end of the day, you will be the one who will find the house, who will book the tickets, who will apply for the visa, and eventually get there and study there. After that, you might face that it's not as easy as it has seems studying and adapting in different countries. For that, some of the tips are that you register yourself and with your university and visa. Many of the time there are things called residence permit, so that allows you to live in a country for more than 3 months, which is what you will probably be doing. So it is essential that when you get to the country that you're supposed to, you register with your university and you register your visa status to say that you are an official student here. Second would be, a lot of Europe has their own healthcare systems and you have your insurance. But depending upon where you are, you might well want to find whatever is nearest your doctor, your surgery, your GP. It's different words in every country, but whatever your nearest options are, and how do you use them? Because you don't want to be sick and trying to figure it out then and spend more money than you have on it. UK has their own free healthcare systems. You pay in advance, but then for the rest of the time you're there, you essentially get free doctor, free medicine, which is not free. You have paid for it, but you don't have to pay it like we do in Pakistan, like every visit or so. And then because you're changing your country and your university every semester, you have to understand the new study style, because yes, grading criteria will be different, professors will be different, the way they grade will be different, and you have to manage a certain percentage or GPA to stay in the program. So it's very important that you figure out and understand your professors, your university, how that work, how they write, how they like to get the answers. um, Recently it has been a very strict issue with the AI use, and a lot of students get strong emails if they use that. So you may not want to go into that habit. Um, then Erasmus is really popular in Europe. You will find Erasmus group every city or every country that you go to. I recommend that you connect with them. They will give you all the support that you can't in so many other manners from university or your professors. And there are university support systems. So for example, if your English isn't as good, or if you don't understand how to give an exam or something, go to your university website. There's always resources there, or somebody to talk to. Use them. It's there to be used. I'll end on that and take some questions that I've seen. And if you have more questions, you can write in the chat.